Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Christan. Today, we're sitting down with my good friend, Payden Hilliard. Payden is currently the drummer for Christine DeClaudio, and many may know him from his time drumming with Leeland. He has shared the stage with well-known artists like Evan Kraft, Matt Maher, Sarah Reeves, Jordan Feliz, and many more. We also talk about his company, Drum Sample Shop, and how he tracks remote drums from his home studio. So here's my conversation with Payden Hilliard. The best seat in the house is my perspective of the industry, whether I'm on the stage or off the stage.
You just need to be diligent in making sure you're practicing.
Yes, sir.
And investing in yourself.
A David Whitworth song from Bethel is different than a Joe Volk song from Bethel. That's different than a Dan McMurray song from Hillsong. That's different than a Simon Kobler song from Hillsong United. Yeah. The list goes on.
It just boils down to being a good human. That will open up doors, but not only give you the gig, but like give you true friendships.
This is always the awkward part because I don't really know how to start these.
Hi.
Hello. Payden, how you been?
I'm good, man.
You're good?
Yeah.
Good. You ran into a little bit of traffic on the way over here.
Oh, you live in Nashville. That's what's going to happen.
Flipped truck on the highway.
Yeah.
And it added like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Or more.
Or more. Yeah, I'd say more.
Well, I'm glad you made it. That's
Thanks,
the
man.
important part.
Thanks for having me.
What have you been up to?
Oh, man. A lot of things.
Good things.
Yeah, good things.
From what I can see.
It just, you're a drummer. Hey, man, like you got to do something out there.
Yeah, exactly.
From traveling, touring, sessions, and then also, working with a couple companies that I work with on the side and social media, marketing kind of thing.
So staying busy, essentially.
Yeah.
And whether you're on the road or here in town.
Yeah.
You've got your hands full, schedules.
Yeah. And it's fortunately it's all drums too, which is kind of cool.
Dude,
yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I noticed when we had to book this like a month out, I was like, wow, this guy's busy.
Yeah.
We had to book in early August for mid-September.
And I still showed up an hour late. Sorry, guys.
Well, I want to get right into it.
Yeah.
When did you start playing drums? Why did you start playing drums? What is that story?
Oh, man. That's a very long story, but I'll condense it. I started playing drums when I was 13.
Okay.
Little backstory, I actually grew up as a missionary's kid in Mexico. So I started playing drums in Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
So your family moved to Mexico?
Yeah,
to
we
do
lived
mission
there.
work?
Yeah, we lived in, like a small town, had one restaurant.
Wow.
Could walk across it in 5 minutes, like literally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I started playing there, kind of just like showed up to a youth night one night, and it was kind of like just this big moment. I'm trying to like picture it. We walked in. We were all like this group of guys that we just hung out, like your buddies, and there was a local worship leader there, and we walked in early one day for some reason. I don't know why, but he was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" He's like, "Well, we're just hanging out. It's tonight's the service or whatever." He's like, "Well, do you guys know how to play any instruments or whatever?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, kind of. My buddy would play guitar here and there. My other buddy would play guitar and sing, and then we had a guy go up on bass every once in a while.
Yeah.
He's like, well, just go grab all the instruments. There was guitar, bass, keys, drums.
Youth group.
So everybody, classic. It was just like nobody cares.
Yeah.
So every guy literally, it was like I'm saying up because it was on this platform, and like we all walked up this platform, and everybody, slowly like gravitated towards an instrument. Like, this is me, this is me, this is me.
Gotcha.
And then at the end of the line, it was a very narrow walkway. At the end of the line, there was a drum set left. And so I just kind of like looked around. I was like, well, I guess that's what I'm going to do.
No one chose the
And I
drums.
sat down. Nobody chose it. So I sat down. I didn't know how to play anything. I've never sat down at a drum set before.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it. And then the worship leader, he's like, all right, we're going to teach you guys a song. It was a Marcus Witt song.
Ooh.
And
what song?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was definitely Marcus Witt. I remember
Because a lot of
very
his-
complicated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My first thought is all of his music is insane.
Yeah. So he went each instrument, like just taught us a little thing, tried to teach me. He's like, hey, listen, just keep time on the hats and 2 and 4 on the snare or whatever it was. It probably wasn't 2 and 4.
It's
Probably not.
With some weird time signature.
And he's like, try to do the kick drum if you can. I couldn't do the kick drum. And so we were just tinking around, sounding god awful. And then he had this bright idea. He's like, hey, why don't you guys play this song tonight for youth service? I was like, bruh. And sure enough, we did, and we botched it, dude. I couldn't. I was like, it was like those, I didn't play the kick drum at all. We got through it, and
wow,
that was the grand, epiphany. Like, oh, this is what I want to do, and there's nothing else.
So you somehow survived that embarrassment of a performance, and you decided
it wasn't even a performance. Yeah,
I wanted to play drums for the.
I ran home, Mom, Dad. I want to play drums.
Wow.
I need to play drums. And and then that Christmas they bought me a Tama Swing Star.
Ooh, great starter.
I think a Sam Ash up in McAllen, Texas, and it was a big deal for me.
So looking back at it now, knowing what you know about drums and gear, what was the kit? What was it? What kind of kit was it? Was it really old? Because it's a smaller church in a smaller town, so I could only imagine it's really used, beat up, heads haven't been changed. Do you remember?
I'm sure it was a pearl or something.
Okay.
There was always pearls in Mexico for some reason.
Not too bad then.
No.
I've seen some kits at churches. I'm just like, what is that?
Definitely
that is not a drum set.
It was definitely a pearl export or something.
Oh, sweet.
Just classic.
That's a pretty decent setup to start out on.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Okay, so then from there, you were in Mexico.
Yeah.
And did you start playing in church?
Yeah.
For the youth band, and then you came back to Texas and started playing.
Yeah. So we moved out of Mexico, obviously. We were there for 5 years, and then we moved back to the States. And I just kind of, tried to get plugged into any church that I could, or find our local church basically. And we found one in McAllen and got connected there and got really on board with the youth worship team. Yeah. And man, we did this we went hard. We called ourselves we were like a little band. So the typical. I mean
I was in there too.
You have the local opener band for a touring artist that comes through and they're way down the slot. That was us. Yeah. And we called ourselves Ignite. And it was just it was classic. Our highlight moment was opening up for Matthew West.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, it was pretty big. We were stoked out of our minds too. And then I think we opened up for David Crowder Band.
That era. He's been everywhere with so many different names. Okay, which is still huge. Yeah, David Crowder Band.
Oh, it was. I freaked out, dude, seeing his drummer and he brought all these little toy,
at the time, you're like, what is all this?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny that you had mentioned Ignite, because the church that I was at when I was a drummer in the youth band or whatever. So we were a small bilingual church in Texas. Yeah. And which I love that we're both from Texas, because I feel something here. Yeah. Yeah. And so we were a small bilingual church, and we had a young adult band already formed with guys that were in their late teens, early 20s. But me and my friends wanted to do music as well, so we formed a youth band, and we were 13, 14, 15, younger. Yeah. And they were called Infectious. We decided to name ourselves Infected.
We're on brand here.
And looking back at that now, I know you. That is the reaction.
It's great. It's great.
Reaction I get from everyone.
Guys, we're infected,
and everyone's like, "Let's have a doctor look at that." And it was one of those things where we thought it was the coolest play on words ever. Oh, yeah. And that's probably one of the top 3 things I regret. Not the band, but the name. I love the guys, love the band, love you guys. Yeah. But the name, I'm just like, why did no one want to support us?
Hey man, just stick in there. I think there's a comeback. There's a comeback tour.
You don't want to rock a merch with infected on it.
You guys would have been number 1 in 2020.
Yeah. We are number 1.
Yeah. So
I love that.
So love that because I've been there before.
Oh, yeah.
And you know,
I think that's the beauty of like today. I mean, you know, the reason why we have, you know, these legends that we know in town and stuff, like they all started there. They all
Yeah.
started with the Infected, the Ignites, like a lot of eyes. I don't
Yeah.
know why there's so many eyes, but yeah, like it all started there, you know?
I how do I put this? I like to go on YouTube
Yeah.
and look up some of my favorite drummers today, obviously, but
Yeah.
I also like to try to find the oldest, probably most embarrassing video that they have online just to see where they started. And it's always such a humbling experience to see whether it's a video they posted or a video somebody else posted of them playing.
Yeah.
And I mean, you are one of those people. I found a video of you playing
Oh gosh.
Rise and Sing by Steve Fee. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh, I
it
can't
was-
believe you actually found
it
that.
was outside at like a football stadium maybe or something.
That was
or-
the show that we opened up for Matthew West.
Really?
That was the day.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't even recognize you.
Oh, I know.
You didn't have the beard. You didn't have the long hair.
I probably had
and
white pants
you
on, too,
you
or something
did have- you
stupid.
had-
Yeah.
white
Oh, yeah.
pants. And, you know, I mean, I had the fit too. I shopped at Route 21 every single day. I
Oh
could.
yeah.
And, yeah. And
Oh my gosh. I can't
seeing that
believe it.
video,
Yeah, dude.
which you were still pretty solid for. How old were you probably? in
I
that video?
was 15, 16.
Yeah, solid
Nice, dude.
playing, and seeing where you're at today, it's just like such growth,
Oh, bro. Thanks.
skill wise and career wise, which is awesome.
Thanks, dude.
And so, but that leads me also to asking, you're from Texas, but you're in Nashville now.
Yeah.
So what brought you out?
Touring.
Yeah?
Yeah. I moved up here touring with a CCM band.
Okay.
I was 19 at the
Oh
time.
wow,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So I've almost been in Nashville almost 10 years now. Yeah. So I moved up here. Yeah.
For the position, or were you
Yes.
moving here without a gig?
Yeah, no, it was, hey, we want you to play for us, but you have to move to Nashville.
Typical.
Like
Mhm.
classic. But the funny thing is they didn't want me at all. The band.
Really?
They really didn't.
Was it like an age thing,
I
or
was too young.
Ah,
Yeah. But
I've
I had
gotten that
a
before.
very good friend vouch for me.
Okay.
Come to find out years later, he actually blew up their phones for like 6 months straight. Was like, y'all just take him out. He's great. Just give him a shot, you know?
That's a
And-
real friend right there.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, and yeah, so that was, you know, getting that call, like, you know, it was the whole, hey, send in, you know, a video of you playing. And I mean, even at 19, you know, almost 10 years ago, like that was still pretty not accessible as is now.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
exactly,
it was like,
yeah.
I didn't have cameras, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't have nothing, like I didn't
Yeah.
have a GoPro or anything, like
yeah,
it's like, so I had to film a video of me playing to one of their songs, and
yeah.
they're like, yeah, sure,
With
like,
camera audio and
oh yeah, it'd sound like crap.
yeah.
I think I had the rainbow sparkle Travis Barker kit at the time too. You know, just
Yes.
classic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, so yeah, that was the reason why I came up here, and they, you know, we toured. I think we toured for about a year and a half,
okay.
and then they kind of just disbanded. It was kind of at the end of a very long and difficult road,
Yeah.
you know, so they kind of called it quits after a year and a half of me being with them.
Okay.
And yeah, so
Wow. So by then, what did you do? Like they're
Oh,
like, this
man.
part of my career is done.
Yeah.
Like, do I move back to Texas? Do I stay here?
yeah,
What?
I mean, so I think you probably, all musicians are creatives. We have a little bit of a dramatic streak in our lives,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
very, you know, oh my God,
Yeah,
everything's
exactly.
going. Yeah, so that was it. I was like, oh, like I can't go back home. Like then I'm gonna be a failure. You know?
Yep.
I was like, oh, my friends are gonna know that I
Yeah.
came home. You know, I couldn't do it.
I was like, I'm gonna move to Nashville and make it,
Oh.
and now I'm back home a year later.
yeah, exactly. No, there's no way. No, so yeah, it was do or die. It was like I'm here in Nashville,
Mhm.
or that's it. That's all I know. Like, you know, so and you know, being that young, I think I was like 19, 20 when it kind of like disbanded. Like I was like, oh well, this is what everybody does. Like we're just starving artists. Like this is what we have to do. It's like let me live this life so that when I'm successful, I could say I did that. So straight up. But I mean, it kind of was in correlation. I didn't make any money.
Right.
So it was like, but like when,
Still don't.
Yeah, we're drummers. We don't make money. Thanks. No, but. Yeah, so like touring with that band, like I really didn't make that much money, and so I only had so much to pay for rent, and basically what I would do is I would take all the snacks from the green room and eat off of that.
I still do that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
somebody paid for that. You should eat it, whether it's at the show or not.
Exactly.
But no, so like, but that I didn't have money for groceries, so I would be eating Nature Valley granola bars for like 2 weeks straight.
Not even ramen. You couldn't even afford ramen.
I mean, I was like, I'm just gonna do this.
Wow.
Like, and then whatever, and then I had a budget for coffee because like that was my thing. I have to go out. By the way, little life hack: Fido in town at the time. I don't know about now, but Fido is the only coffee shop to stay open until 11 p.m. And so if you're a night owl and you're balling on a budget and only want to spend like $2 for a drip, go there. It's
Huh.
A lot of my creative moments and writing in my journals came from 10 o'clock at night at 5. They got to know me, so it ended up being free eventually.
Okay.
They're like, here's your drip, and I'm like, oh, sweet,
What's over there right by Vanderbilt, kind of?
Yeah,
so
basically.
all the college students.
That's a tidbit. Anybody that's going through that right now, take
Vandy students, Lipscomb, all the local spots.
Oh, yeah,
Go to Fido.
Yeah. So did that. And then, it was like, well, I've got to get a job. Like, I've got to do something.
Yeah.
So I ended up actually working at Premier Productions.
No way.
As an LED wall tech.
Wow.
So, yeah.
With, I would assume, no prior experience leading up to that?
Just kind of like, hey, we're hiring a shop rat guy.
Wow.
Like, just to roll cables and stuff. And then, like, they found out I could somewhat solder because I used to do that at my church when, making cables and stuff like that. They're like, hey, can you solder? Yes. Can you solder, like, tiny, tiny little connections? I was like, I don't know. And they're like, well, you are now. So get over in the LED world. And it's a product called PixelFlex. So it's not like the hard panels. It was this like fabric.
I've seen that. Yeah. It folds and bends.
It doesn't look that good. Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah. A lot of people still use it. But it's cheap.
Was it for like the cheap aspect and it was lighter weight and more portable?
No, I don't know if it was lighter weight because that thing was heavy. Like we had to load those into trucks and stuff. So like one of the main people that I worked for or like tech their walls was at the moment actually casting crowns when I worked there, so it was funny.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then also Luke Bryan.
Okay.
He had some PixelFlex too, which was interesting. And then right at the end, I think it was Alan Jackson. Yeah.
Wow.
So I did all of their...
I would not expect them to use that.
Yeah. I think they just had little sections of where they used it, not the full thing.
Okay.
But it was like, kind of like, we got it here. But man, and then also like, I guess just out of necessity, they were like, hey, well, can you like program lights too and program LED walls? And like, I was like, no, but I guess I could learn. Yeah. And so they're like, yeah, you are. And so they actually taught me how to like kind of make, little scenes and do that stuff. So they'd send me out on gigs like on weekends for Easter and random church stuff. Yeah. And then they sent me to Disney one week because there was a cheer competition. And they're like, hey, it's already set up. Just go babysit the wall. It'll be fine. Nothing is going to happen.
What?
It's perfect. I was like, sweet. I'm just going to sit there at Disney World and watch a wall. It's going to be great, Sure enough, I get there. The top panel of this 50-foot wall with all this cheer competition, like nonstop for like 4 days straight, keeps going out. So I have to get on a genie that goes up 50 feet. Those little tiny ones too. And I had
afraid of heights?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that was great. But so with these walls, there was like these little 3 connecting like cables, like every couple of inches in between each little individual light. So it could be
any of those.
And you have to literally just go in there, like rip it out, like, and try to find it. And there's no way to like test it. It's just like you touch, nothing. Because it's just a chain of like, if one goes out, it's literally a Christmas lights. If one goes out, the whole freaking thing goes out.
So annoying.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be fine. You know, all you gotta do is babysit. And I'm up there like for a day and a half, just trying to figure it out. Yeah, and it still didn't work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how long were you doing that until your next drumming opportunity?
That was about a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that for about a year. And then actually, it was really funny. So I grew up knowing Leeland.
Yeah.
The band, the guy, all of them, the whole family.
Yeah.
And right around that time, the old band members were kind of stepping down. You know, they had kids or they were just getting older, and they're like, I'm tired of doing this every weekend. You know, Leeland just called me out of the blue. He's like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing with your life?" I was like, "I have no clue." He's like, "Great. Do you want to come play drums for me in 2 months in Europe?" I said, "Sure." He's like, "Do you need to pray about it?" I was like, "Nope. Let's do this."
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "I don't need to pray about it. Let's do this." And so that was the phone call, you know, and
What a phone call.
What
too.
a phone
Like,
call, right?
Have you ever played overseas at that point?
No, not at that point. So that was crazy in itself, and then it gets better. So that's that phone call. You know, 2 months, Europe, 2 weeks, Norway, Amsterdam, Sweden, all these places. Amazing. I'm like, yes,
beautiful.
He calls me a week later after that initial phone call, and it's like, "Hey, actually, you're gonna start a month sooner in October. We're gonna do this 7-day conference in Florida at a amazing church down there. It's a leadership conference. It's gonna be intense. It ended up being 2 services a day, 5 hours each service, and it's very Pentecostal. So it was
Sounds like it was 5-hour services.
and we would be called up to play one song, and that was it. Like here and there, we'd have some days that we were scheduled, but you know, Leon was like, "Guys, I think he's gonna call. He might call
like
us
an
up.
altar call, spontaneous.
He
laying
might call us
hands,
up.
Like
Yeah. We have no idea. We have to be here at every service, so we had no days off.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, that was the most like pivotal moment I think for me, because not only did that was my first gig, first time being out with the band, and like this whole new life venture. I actually met my wife there.
No freaking way.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. I got the gig and I got the girl. So, mic drop, but this.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way, dude.
We've been married 6 years now.
Dude, well, congrats.
Thanks, man.
What was she attending? Was that her home church? Like,
She was going to Bible college there.
okay.
She's originally from Canada, but she was in Florida because of some pastor friends that they knew. They were connected to that church.
Yeah.
And so she was in her first year of Bible college there. Yeah. She was focused on the Lord, and I was focused on her.
It's usually how it goes.
She was like, yeah. She'll tell you that to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long did it take for you guys to like, because you had to come back to Nashville and she was going to school there. Like, were y'all just friends for a while? Did y'all start dating?
Yeah.
soon,
So we met there. Actually, I was kind of creepy. Like I asked our driver guy, I'm like, "Hey, can you tell me anything about this girl? Because I just don't want to go in blind. You know, I mean, come on, fellas, we know. Like, give me a little like something. Like, and so I found out, she's from Canada, and like, so the rule with that Bible college though is you can't date in your first year. It's just that's a good rule.
It's a rule.
Focus on the Lord,
not
on the dudes, or the girls, whoever you are.
Right.
But like it, and so like I was like, okay, that's really cool. So he told me that, we talked, and then but come to find out, January is our second year. So I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
So we started talking around in December.
Yeah.
And kind of like starting the friendship. I slid into those DMs real hard.
Yep.
Like, because that's all I knew how to do it. She did this. She was doing this countdown on Twitter at the time. it was, in the start of December, and it was like, 20 more days, like 15 more days. And I'm like, crap, like she's going to go see her boyfriend or whatever, or something's going to happen, And
Ooh. So
I
you didn't know what the countdown was alluding to?
I had no
Just
idea.
A countdown.
I was just like, I was like, crap, like she's definitely go see her. I mean, girl that pretty.
Yeah.
Like she's got a boyfriend for sure. And so I was like, hey, I'm like, what's this countdown? Nonchalant. She's like, oh, it's just like, it's a countdown until I go home to Montreal for Christmas. I was like, thank you, God.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And that was just my end. I was like, okay, here we go. Like, she's responded now. So we just started talking from then. Yeah. So that, we met in October 2014, started talking that December. Started dating around in March.
Okay.
Like long distance dating, by the way. Like just flying back and forth.
Still in Bible.
Yeah.
In college.
Yeah. So it was like, man, that was not easy.
Yeah.
I'll say. But yeah, that, and then I proposed on New Year's of 2016.
Was that same year? Or?
Yeah, basically like So New Year's Eve 2016, and then we got married July of 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All
hey.
from being called to a gig a month early.
Yeah. Perfect timing.
You would have never played that conference. You would have never met her.
Wow. No, it's perfect timing. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to follow that up, but how was Europe? After
It was
basically meeting your
fantastic,
wife.
by the way. If anybody has ever, like, it's shocking that, like, have you ever been out of the country?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I have to ask now.
Yeah,
because
no.
I know.
This was my first year. I went to go. I'm speaking of long distance. Me and my girlfriend were at the time. We're still together.
Yeah.
But we were doing long distance. We were doing long distance, and she was living in London. She was doing an internship. So I'd never been out of the country, and I was missing her. So I, got my first passport, flew out to see her, and then 3 months later, I got a gig in Romania for a festival. So
Romania.
yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, it was great. Beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I highly recommend if you get an opportunity, go.
Yeah.
But yes, so up until this year, no, I hadn't been out of the country, but this year,
Yeah.
So
And how old are you now?
I'm 27.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's not a bad thing. Like,
Right,
But
yeah.
like, there's some people that are even older than me, and like they've never even been out of their own state.
Right.
It's like,
Mhm.
man, like
Mhm.
just go, get in
Yeah.
a car, go.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, like Europe was fantastic. If you ever have the chance to go to Norway, I highly recommend it. It is the most sleeper country I think I know of.
Really?
I mean, I say sleeper, but a lot of people know it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
The people, like the sense of like the way of life there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many fisher like villages and stuff, like fishermen towns, and
Yeah.
and just driving through like the coast and or like the countryside and along the coast and
Yeah.
like just experiencing that. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
Dude,
And-
I definitely would want to go.
Yeah.
It sounds like a simpler way of life, too. Like,
Yeah.
not so obsessed with technology and
slow
big
down.
buildings and a
Yeah.
lot of farmland. 'Cause that's
Yeah.
kind of how Romania was.
Yeah.
And it was just so nice to kind of slow down and
Yeah.
appreciate
Oh,
life.
And all the venues that we were playing at in Norway were like just small churches in a fishing village.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just amazing.
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's episode. This episode is brought to you by To The Moon Creative. They provide the highest quality audio and video resources for all of your content. Whether it's a podcast or promotional ads for your business, they do it all. Not only do they record audio, but they also provide video and a killer space for you to film in. To The Moon Creative is located just outside of Nashville in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You can find them on Instagram at TTM Creative or check out their website, ttmcreative.com.
Yeah.
Okay, so that all happens.
Yeah.
You're with Leeland for 8 years?
Yeah, close to 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah.
And now you're playing with Christine Gladio.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What is that like?
Man, it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
The synergy between the entire crew is it's indescribable.
Yeah.
Indescribable in how fast it all how we all started to gel that
Mhm.
quickly. We were actually at a dinner not too long ago with Christine, and she was sitting at the head of the table, and she even said it. She was like, there's something supernatural about this group, and I've never experienced this with like my other bands.
And she's had solid. Like Ish was playing with her for a while, and he was killing it, and a bunch of other musicians.
Yeah, and it's something about just the camaraderie amongst all of us. Like, I don't know what it is either, but I sensed it too.
Supernatural.
Yeah, you walk in, you're like, oh, wow. That is my buddy Benny, who vouched for me for that. Benny Martinez, amazing guitarist, played with her for years, still does. Plays for Lauren Daigle now.
Okay.
We work together like remotely on sessions and stuff like that. But yeah, he just called me out of the blue, and he's like, hey, dude, they need a drummer, and I think you're a perfect fit. Like, I want you on it. Like, I'm vouching for you. Yeah. Just out of the blue. I was like, my dude. Yeah. And I love Benny. Benny's the nicest guy ever. But he's a great musician and great MD. And I'm speaking of love, Benny, if you ever listen to this or watch this. I love him because he's very dedicated to his craft, and he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff so well that he knows your stuff just as well. Yes.
That is very intimidating.
Yes. Oh, it is. Yeah. So a lot of people can't handle that.
To get that call and then to know, because a lot of MDs, they know their parts or they make the arrangements.
Yeah.
And you won't know too much if you're off a little bit. But for someone like that, it sounds like he would in a heartbeat.
Yeah. He's not typically the MD for the gig, too. It was just this one gig that we did, my initial. Okay. Which, like, but I knew he was MDing. So I was like, okay. Like, you know, he's basically like, hey, he in a nutshell, so he's like, hey, learn your parts, and that's all you need to do. Like, and it's true. Like, he'll call you out if you don't know your stuff.
Man.
But I respect that in a way of, like, you can do better. I know you can.
Yeah.
Do better.
Motivation.
Yeah.
It's pushing you to be the best version of yourself.
You're sucking right now. Do better.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're right. I am.
You need someone like that in your life.
Oh, I need that.
Yeah.
I need the motivator.
We all do.
Push me over the edge. Like,
especially when you get to that point in your career where you're doing okay. Like, you're paying the bills. You're not worried about finances. Like, you're playing consistently. You're playing the same sets, the same songs, the same arrangements.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to get comfortable. And I don't have to practice anymore. Like, I've been playing these songs for a year. Yeah. Like, and it's the same arrangements. Yeah. But, like, you're not really pushing yourself to be better. No. And, you know, I also need somebody like that that's like, hey, like, throw in some different fills. Like, throw in something different here. Like, make it yours. And
get the bass right, but then add your flair.
Yeah. Don't allow yourself to be comfortable, because that's a really dangerous place to be. Not only music, but, you know, spiritually as well. Like, don't allow yourself to be comfortable in that aspect, because that just hinders your growth. Yeah. But dude, that's awesome. When I found out you were on that gig, I was like, dude, what? That's incredible, because I love her music, and like in the Hispanic community, she's a legend. Yeah. Even in the English, like, Christian and worship.
Yeah. Just all across the board.
Yeah, she's been doing it for such a long time. Is she still based out of Texas?
Yeah, she's still in Dallas.
And her band, are they in Dallas? Are they here?
Kind of all over the place. Okay. Like Houston, Dallas, Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's the beauty of when, you know, you have A-list players. You just show up to the show and play the show. Yeah. It's like, we're good.
It doesn't matter where you're from, where you live. You can live wherever you want at this point.
As long as you learn your crap, you're good.
Yeah. And that's cool, too, because you grew up in, like, you had 5-6 years in Mexico. Yeah. And you grew up playing in a, bilingual English-Spanish church. Yeah. And it's kind of like a full circle thing. Oh. You're now with a bilingual artist. Yeah. What is that kind of like? Like, what's your Spanish like, first off?
It's fluent. Yeah. It's un
Are
poquito.
You lying?
No, es un poquito pochorrita porque, yeah. Porque vivo aquí y nadie habla español aquí. Entonces, por eso cuando vamos a México o la Dominicana, estoy practicando otra vez y así como que ya me regresa todo.
Okay. Which it makes sense, because you are traveling, like you said, like everywhere. Yeah. And Spanish-speaking countries. Yeah. and you need to be.
Oh yeah, I was rusty first few shows. I was like,
I mean, I figured.
it's getting back though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you hadn't needed it before this
No.
opportunity.
No.
You weren't playing with a Spanish artist
No.
in Spanish countries.
Yeah.
Like you've played with Evan.
Yeah.
Kraft. What
Yeah.
was that like? Like, did you have to?
It was all in the States actually, which was funny.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It was all in
Interesting.
the U.S. and
Okay.
kind of like some Zoom shows, and then some. I think it was in North Carolina or somewhere like
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude.
Yeah.
That's also. How long have you been with Christine?
Since Easter of this year.
Okay.
Pretty fresh.
It hasn't even been a year.
No, hasn't.
Wow.
We've been busy, which has been awesome.
Dude, that's dope.
Yeah.
And things are kind of back to normal in a way.
Yeah.
So I mean, international shows are happening again, and
Yeah.
travel, is happening again to probably more. We've had more delays than I've ever experienced in my life flying because the airports are so saturated,
yeah.
oversaturated.
Yeah.
People are traveling now more than ever.
Yeah.
Because we've just been cooped up for like
Yeah.
2 years.
And everybody, they took the masks away, so everybody.
Yeah, and everyone's like,
yeah, let's do this.
Okay, so shifting gears now,
Yeah.
drum sample shop.
Yeah.
What's that about? When did that start? Why did it start?
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
That's a great question. I'd say definitely a COVID baby. You know?
Yeah?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
it's
I
that,
like that.
like,
Yeah.
It actually started from remote sessions. Just kind of like, so in 2019, we did a tour in the UK and finished up in Brighton at, I forgot the name of the church. It was Johnny's church. Martin Smith actually goes there as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot the name of the church. It's in Brighton. Beautiful church. Gorgeous church. Ended there. I had known about Johnny for years. Never met him until that day. And he was kind of like our, welcome host from the church. Like, hey guys, if you need anything, like,
Okay.
I'm here to help you set up and plug things in.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, you're a baller. You don't need to be doing this.
Exactly.
But so that's where that relationship initially started. And then, right after that, I mean, March 2020 is when it all shut down. And so the problem with the UK was like, I mean, they were shut down. They weren't, we had like a weird 2-week stint, and then it kind of got extended a little bit. And then, and especially in Tennessee, we kind of like, all right, screw this. Like, we're opening it back up.
Yep.
And people were still,
Exactly. Yeah.
they were not. They were completely locked down.
Oh.
Like, still in their houses. Like, you only have like maybe 20, 30 minutes outside a day.
Really?
Yeah, to exercise.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense. It was a lot of mental games,
Okay.
But so Johnny was like, hey, man, I see, and randomly, well, not randomly, very God timed, I built out my studio at my place in December, and then announced, hey, I'm ready for remote sessions in February, without knowing any of that was going to happen. I was like, hey, I just want to do sessions like now. And then like March dropped, and it was like, boom,
And a lot of people were kind of in that realm, but when COVID happened, their builds weren't done, and they were getting pushed back a year.
Yeah.
Because of
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
So you had adjustment.
Yeah, no,
need
it was just God ordained time. Like, it just worked.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and so Johnny, hit me up from the UK. He's like, hey, I've got a lot of work. We need to, if you're up for it, like, we've got a lot of things over here, and Integrity that he's working with a lot. The label, and just a lot of different artists. I was like, I'm game. Let's do this. Started doing that. Really started building a relationship like that over, a couple months. And I think it was in the summer of 2020. He was like, dude, like, these sounds are really good. Like, I just want you to know that. And I'm like, thanks, man. I'm just like in a carpeted bedroom. Like, it shouldn't work. It shouldn't work, And he's like, no, it's really good. He's like, what if we were to like sample it and sell it or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, just kind of nonchalant. He had previously done that with like a couple drums that he recorded over the year. He put it up for like 15 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, here you go. And he's like, dude, what if we were to really do this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just itching for something like that.
Yep.
Like I was like, yes,
I've been cooped up.
1,000%.
Can't travel.
Like I've been wanting to do business ventures, like, for a long time at that point too.
Yeah.
So I was like, anything. Yeah. So I was like, yes, whatever we need to do, let's do it right now. And I was like, well, what are we gonna call ourselves though? And he was like, I don't know, like drum sample shop. I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, it's straight to the point. I was like, actually, you know what? I like it.
I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, I'm like, what we do is in our name, it's
Yeah.
2/3 of it. Like, I'm like, I like that. Like, he's like, okay, great. Cause I already bought the domain. I have the Instagram handle. I was like, this is my dude right now.
Oh, man.
And yes, that's where that kind of started. And then
Okay.
it was full on. Like, you got to understand when I go for something, it's like 110%. Like it's to the psychotic limit where it's like, really like dive in.
All in, bro. You got to full send it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the next 2 months, it basically was that. Just like, okay, lock myself in the room, go to town, do what we need to do to make our first pack, which is, is actually called US-UK. The concept behind it was like, okay, just do what I would do, tuning wise, drum tone wise, even the loops kind of playing wise.
Yeah.
And then Johnny's gonna mix it just his bread and butter, how he would do any other mix, and that just kind of like shows people our flair.
Yeah.
And that was our first pack. It released in November of 2020.
That I bought that pack.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, dude.
I think I had seen that you posted it, and I was like, okay, he's starting to sample. Let me check it out.
Yeah.
And immediately I loved the tones. And I think it was perfect for somebody like me because I really don't have experience mixing.
Yeah.
But I love making, I hate this word, but content.
I'm a content
I'm
creator.
a content creator. I love making content like just for Instagram reels or YouTube covers or live drum, playthroughs or drum cams or whatever.
Yeah. Which those
but
are slapping right now on Instagram.
Yeah. So everyone's posting them, everyone's doing them, and I want to be able to like keep up and be up to par with all these other guys that sound incredible.
Yeah.
And your playing can be great, but that only goes so far.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how to mix, it's not going to sound as good, even though you're playing solid.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And I had already kind of experimented with like Steven Slate Trigger, and I had like the Platinum 2, but they all just sound too metal and too, and those days are over for me.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make sense playing like a worship tune or something. And then I bought like the Paul Mabry, like, I Want That Sound pack, and they sounded great as well, and I love them, but those were just too thuddy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I wanted something a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
And when I listened to your stuff, I was like, man, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. And
thanks.
and it's allowed me to grow, because at first I would just fully replace them.
Yeah.
Now I blend them. I know
Always
a little
blend.
bit. I know a little bit more. And I was like, man, why does this sound so like machined? Or like
Yeah.
There's no, like, the velocities are all the same, and there's no dynamics.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
But yeah, so for someone like me or somebody like, especially after COVID, a lot of people are doing home studio stuff.
Yeah.
It's great for producers to be able to blend and have just incredible, professionally sounding drums that it does sound like they were recorded in an incredible room or an incredible studio without spending all this money on renting out a studio space if you don't have that and you're mixing out of a house or an apartment or something.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
But back like on like the reason they sound like it's funny because like it's a bedroom with
That's crazy.
a like carpet.
Yeah.
And theoretically, like in the recording drum sense, it's not the perfect room for like a live tracking like kit. I have hacks and things that things that I do that make it work for the remote sessions, and I've got it dialed. But for sampling, it's brilliant because it's so dead. There's no like baked
that
in
makes
tone.
sense.
There's
Yeah.
no baked in
Yeah.
like weird, room. Like I could hear I always track with in-ears too. So it's like I could hear everything. If there's a rattle, over on the wall, I can hear it.
Yeah.
Get it out of here,
Huh.
Yeah.
I also watched the studio tour that you did with what's his name?
Andrew Masters.
Andrew Masters,
Yeah.
which I recommend you guys go to check out. It's on YouTube. And just to see, like you can hear it on the podcast, but if people want to see visually
Yeah.
where these samples were created,
Yeah.
it's simple.
It's a bedroom and a closet.
Yeah, and those and you are literally, that's what it is, and those tones are those are incredible.
Thanks, bro.
So with that, we have about 10-15 minutes left. I want to ask about your setup. So
Yeah.
these aren't just for studio or post-production. You can use these live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what is your personal setup for running triggers live, whether you're touring or whether you're doing like a fly date and you need something quick on the spot?
A great question. For the long time, it was the Roland, SPDSX, like just super simple with the triggers. And I still do it occasionally when I have like my full-on cases, if it's a bus or something like that. Recently, though, with Christine, I've been kind of finding like, so we changed, I'm with a specific airline, and now we changed a different airline, that I'm not used to. So I don't have any like free checks or anything like that. So I'm like, well, crap. I'm gonna only take the bare essentials.
Yeah.
So we're not charging, or it's not costing the band.
Yeah, I don't want to bring 2 bags and make them.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually just got this amazing trigger. It's called Dream Trigger.
Okay.
It's
yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, you've seen it.
Yeah.
It's,
I saw the Kickstarter like a while back.
So yeah, it's still kind of like in the startup phase of the company. They're brilliant. They literally are brilliant. It's a all-in-one trigger and pads on the trigger. Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So there's
so
2
they've changed.
pads
All right.
on the trigger actually. And the cool thing about the trigger, the Roland triggers that everybody uses, or the D drums, they're all that foam.
It's got the cone
Cone
and the
thing.
reads the vibration.
This is a laser. So it senses the vibration of the head, and that's what it uses to trigger the actual sample. So you're not having these wonky, like, oh, I hit it weird or something like that. Or even if I did a rim click, it really doesn't trigger
So it's even more accurate?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. It's incredible. So that's been great for the Christine gig right now, because, like, sometimes when I do fly dates and stuff, for Leeland, when I did fly dates, it was always a Roland SPDSX on it.
Right. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I would toss my kick trigger on there and my snare trigger, because at
Okay.
least I know the kick and the snare are going to sound fantastic.
Yeah. And you just run them like external triggers from the inputs.
Yeah.
You
You could even do a TM 102. Well, now I'm thinking about it, the
A smaller
Roland brain.
module.
Yeah.
If you don't need the Roland for electronic
but
samples.
I would always use it for
same.
electronic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had the Roland KT10 kick as
Okay.
well for like electronic stuff. But this Dream Trigger, dude, is fantastic, because like it secures through a lug. So you put the bracket, you put it through the lug through it, tighten that down, and then you put that through the bracket, and it holds on there. And you have 2 pads on it. So when I'm playing my snare and it's triggering the snare live, I can still boom.
So you have 2 electronic drum pads on it.
Yeah.
And then the acoustic trigger itself.
Yeah, the acoustic trigger itself.
Huh.
Yeah. And it just has like, you can do it via MIDI, or just like you can actually load samples into the module itself and do it just like standalone.
Okay, so I could run it into Ableton.
Yes.
And
it has a USB port on it.
And have different patches.
Yep. Yeah. Or you can just load those Yes. Or you can just load those samples into the brain itself.
But can you change through the kits?
Yeah, it has a little like thing on the side. So that's what I do, because I'm like, I'm not running Ableton for my stuff, or the MD's doing all that. So I'm just gonna load them in.
For
real
someone
quick.
like you, Christine's music isn't really like poppy. So like what electronic sounds are you using, like a Verbi tambourine or like some sort of back?
Well, like you say that, but some of her new stuff is actually.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, I thought so too, but moving forward, I was like, oh, okay, like there is.
With Austin's stuff, every song we do has a bunch of different percussive elements. Like I need at least like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'd be able to get away with just using 2 because he has,
Yeah, exactly.
one snare on the verse,
Yeah.
another one on the second verse, and
Yeah.
then a few different kicks. And
Yeah, so it's not that detailed, but
Right.
it is enough to where it's like, oh, I could use this for
Right.
like a section and
Yeah.
then switch over to the main kit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's cool.
Dude, I need to check that out.
It's really cool.
Okay, so last few things before we end. WFL 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me a
Oh,
little about them. What you play.
Yeah.
What you do for them.
Yeah. Amazing company.
Yeah.
Love them.
Plug them.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Bill? Bill Ludwig.
Yeah.
I mean, needs no introduction. It just, he was there when he told me, he was sitting in front of his TV after his dad had signed Ringo and saw the Ludwig family name on the Johnny Carson show for the first time ever, and tears just running down his face. You know? He was a kid. Like, he was just like, our lives are about to change. All throughout the 70s and 80s, he was the main A&R guy and marketing guy for Ludwig. So Bonham was his guy. Rick Allen, Def Leppard, Alex Van Halen, you name it.
Anyone and everyone, because everyone
Those were
played
his
Ludwig.
people.
A lot of people still do, for sure. But anyone played Ludwig.
He signed them. So yeah. So not only was he just around the company and invested, but he was the main source of marketing for it. And and the guy picking up the phone call, like anybody that rang the office, he was the guy picking up the phone. And but yeah, so now he started his own company. They sold Ludwig in the 80s, just due to a lot of things, new drum companies coming from Japan and all these, companies, Yamaha and all these, crazy companies that are doing a million things and they're doing it really well. So they're like, well, we got to get out while we can. That happened. But he started WFL3 about 7 years ago and started with just snares and then eventually to kits. And now, it's like a full-on operation.
Yeah, dude. It's
amazing.
A thing, dude. And they're killing it. Like the samples on the drum sample shop, those are...
Yeah, the US UK pack is all WFL3. That's my main kit.
So if anyone out there hears the sample pack and they're interested in a new kit or a new snare, the samples you're hearing are the WFL.
It's just how drums should be made. It's the old ways. That's our one of our slogans is the sound of generations. Yeah. It's generationally, it's passed down. Right. Just like his grandfather used to make them back in 1909.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's brilliant. We're so excited. So actually I joined on as an endorser in 2020. That's been amazing. Yeah. I joined on as a staff member and social media / marketing director with them. And it's been incredible just to be a part of the company and the direction that we're going to and what we're trying to do. And there's a lot of cool things. Yeah. I just was up in the factory 2 weeks ago, doing some just PR shots and stuff, some new things we got. We just got a brand new CNC machine that is going to, just revolutionize what we're doing. Yeah. Where we were drilling, drums by hand, which is we still do everything by hand majority. We finish drums by hand. Right. It'd take us up to I'd say 2 days to really measure and tape and drill just for the hardware for a kit. 2 days. Wow. With this new CNC machine, it's gonna take us 8 minutes.
That's incredible. That's huge.
So I don't know what those
That's huge
percentages what that he was going to equate to.
Better workflow and more production.
Yeah. But the team there right now is fantastic. They are A-class all the way and dedicated to every inch of any drum that comes out of that shop. I can vouch for that because I met some of the team when they were in town for the Music City drum show. And we all went and got dinner, and I met Bill. And after meeting him, he told me a little bit of the story. And even though I'm not an artist, he took the time to sit with me and just ask me a little bit about myself, my career, and tell me anything that I wanted to know. I asked some questions, and he was fully open in answering. I love it.
And so I love that. And if anyone is interested, I highly recommend you guys look them up, check them out online, shoot Payden like an email or something.
Yeah.
You can answer any
Just
questions.
reach out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
And he can answer any questions that you guys might have if you're interested in even a snare drum. Like the
Yeah.
aluminum
1909.
that is killer.
That's my
I
go-to.
love that snare drum.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, last question.
Yeah.
Before we head out. When it comes to your career
Yeah.
and everything you've experienced, I want to just see like advice if someone's wanting to essentially do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Touring.
Yeah.
Or making a living doing drums somehow. Whether it's touring or studio, what is advice you can give them on a spiritual perspective and on a practical perspective that has helped you get to where you are today?
Yeah. That's a good question. I was waiting for this one.
Hey.
I've been
Okay.
2 hours in traffic. I've been thinking about.
I didn't tell
answering.
you anything we were going to talk about either.
No.
So this is
But this is
raw.
actually what I wanted to talk about.
Okay, good.
So this is good. Yeah, that's a really good question. Sorry, I'm going to take a little bit of time. A lot of people have been asking me that recently, actually, which is not to toot my own horn or anything, but it's the, it's just the curiosity of like, especially coming off of 2-3 years of, isolation.
Yep.
We're trying to look how do we network? How do we connect again? How do I get my name out there as like, a talented person? Like,
right.
And from a spiritual aspect, I think God will always reveal himself and open the door.
Mm.
If that is your heart's desire, if you are actually truly seeking him and truly seeking what, he has for your life, God will always open that door. He might not open it the way you think it's going to be open, though.
That's true.
And that's where a lot of people fall short, I think. I think that's where I've fallen short in my past, is when the door is open and it's not the door that I expected or wanted. I didn't give it my all.
That's good.
I didn't.
Yeah.
And that's where the outcome of that was I was disappointed, or it ended bad, or it failed.
Right.
When God opens that door, I don't care what it is, you go the extra mile when you don't have to. You see a need, you feel the need, you almost to the extent of where you ask your question, why am I doing this? This has no. I'm a business person. I'm a overachiever. Like for me,
Right.
so it's like everything's usually calculated when I do something, or it has an end goal.
Yeah.
When you find yourself like, why am I doing this? Because that's the healthy space that you need to be in. Of, I want to help this person when it has nothing to do with me. I want to reach out to or call this person because I know something's going, wrong or something with their life, or, they're going through a heartache right now or something happened. Like I want to call them and just reach out, like, even though I don't know them, but it's just the going the extra mile.
Yeah.
I think that's where those conversations or those little actions, whatever, how, small or big it may be, that's what keeps not only you like just in the walk with the Lord, your walk with the Lord, your personal walk.
Yeah.
But on a relational level too. Because like we've had this question, I've had a buddy that came from Australia recently. I haven't seen him in 3 years. And he came to visit Nashville. There's no reason he needs to come to Nashville other than visit me and other friends or whatever.
Okay.
And we had this discussion of, do you think that people have just lost, like, interest in being a good human, or have we just literally let our fake guard down? After, of 3 years of everybody's in it for themselves, and if I'm not on top, then, like,
whatever. Like,
it's do or die.
Yeah.
I've got to do what I got to do to stay on top, because our industry completely failed.
Yeah.
It completely went down. Like, We weren't allowed to be in the same room with each other, or
Right.
allowed to do shows. So it's like, okay, whatever I got to do, whoever I got to step over, it doesn't matter.
It's cutthroat.
And it's like, we asked that question. It's like, you think, he's like, no, I think people just lost their fake guard. They literally don't care anymore to be a level of fake.
Especially in this town. And the culture and the community here has always been, to my knowledge, before I moved here, just so loving and welcoming. And COVID is, kind of made people realize, like, oh, I've been a little bit more stingy and aggressive and kind of step on people's necks to get that first gig back after COVID. And I think spiritually, a lot of times it's really hard to just let go, especially now after COVID. Like, you have something, grip it tight. And when you do that, your trust in the Lord fizzles out a little bit, because you're not trusting in Him anymore. You're trusting in yourself to do everything right, to make sure you never get fired or let go. When it's really not what matters.
No.
At all.
No.
That was a good answer.
And that it just boils down to being a good human. That's all it really is.
Yeah.
And that will open up doors more than your viewership on Instagram Reels or your TikTok followers. That will speak volume and give you longevity.
Yeah.
But not only give you the gig and this, but like give you true friendships and, fulfillment and just everyday conversations.
Dude, such a good answer. Practically, really quick. We've got about 2 minutes.
Sorry.
Practically. No, I want you to talk. Practically, what have you done? Whether it's rehearsing or how you prepare, like practically, what is something someone can do really quick? To kind of get calls or auditions or
just like one thing I would say, like, if you do get a call, lock yourself in your room and learn those songs.
Simple, but a lot of people don't do it.
A lot of people don't do it. Oh, I'll just listen to it on the plane. No, lock yourself in the room for like a week at least. Get familiar with it, especially if it's out of your wheelhouse. Like, learn those songs through and through, almost to where you know the other guy's parts.
Yeah, like
do
you were
it
saying earlier.
Yeah, it helps you, and practice. Like, it's good to practice. It's good to get in there and jam. Be that 16-year-old self again. Of like, I'm in my bedroom and I'm rocking out with my CD Walkman.
There you go.
Or whatever iPod, but like, be that again.
Yeah.
You need to be that. All the greats do it. They play so much, or they do so many sessions that they're already practicing, when they're working out ideas. But like, do that again. That's the practical sense. Just learn that. Learn yourself. Learn how to, what your strengths are. If somebody calls and, hey, I think, I want you to, like, be honest with yourself. I don't think I'm a good fit for that gig, but I do know somebody that is
done
good.
that before.
Yeah.
And that goes way more, has more weight to it, and that goes a lot longer than you showing up just to have the gig and you botch it.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Because then if it works out, we don't get to this point, but that person that called you will respect your opinion.
Yes.
Because you made a good call.
Yes.
And you said, no, I think this would be a great fit.
And it's better for that camp because it's a better fit.
Yeah.
And it's you helped give a drummer a great opportunity. I'm always looking to call guys like you, Ben Jones, Daniel Jones, like all these guys in town if I can't make a gig.
Yeah.
And man. So practically rehearse.
Yeah.
Chart your songs, learn your stuff, come prepared.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it for today. Shout out whatever you want for Payden Hilliard on Instagram, drum.
Yeah, I like
sample.
to thank my parents. I'm just kidding.
Whatever. What socials you got so people can check you out, drum sample shop and
at Payden Hilliard at Drum Sample Shop. Go check out WFL3 drums. Yeah, do it. Go check out Dream Trigger too.
Yes,
great people over there.
Yeah, I'll probably link them down below too. Your socials. But dude, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, bro.
I would love to have you out again.
Oh yeah,
we can get more in depth on some
get
other
real
stuff.
Deep. Yeah.
But that's it for this week's episode or this month's episode. I really don't know what I'm doing.
That's all good.
But that's it for this episode, you guys. And and I'll see you guys in the next one.